Hello and thanks for watching. All the ideas contained within these videos are just that, they're ideas. Use these ideas as a jumping off point to create your own incredible access provision. And remember, it's really important to talk to the people who will be using the access you're creating and get their suggestions too. Hello, I'm David Phillips. I am currently the head of production and facilities at the New Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich, where we are sat now.
And I'm Pete. I am the technical manager of the New Wolsey Theatre.
We're going to spend the next sort of 10-15 minutes talking to you about all the sort of bits and pieces that the production team, production department, us, do and have learnt around making ramps productions and working with deaf and disabled actors, creatives, technicians, anybody who's a theatre maker and has an additional need that we could maybe help them with. So we're back down here in dressing room corridor. I think you've already been down here with David Watson, and I just want to talk to you about supporting technical staff, stage management, acting company, back of house. The most important thing, and I've had lots of people email me and talk to me about supporting deaf and disabled actors, technicians, stage management, all those sorts of people. And I always go back and go, well, have you spoken to them about what they want or what they need or what will help them? Because people don't feel empowered to ask for the things that they need to do their job. So you need to go and ask. And that's one of the absolutely prime rules that we've learned here. So the great thing about our place, the Wolsey, is that it is already relatively accessible, and lots of people don't have the benefit of working in buildings that are. But lots of lateral thinking. Ramps on the Moon is called Ramps on the Moon for a reason, i.e. stick a ramp on it, people can get somewhere. So we're just going to quickly talk through. I'm just going to go into the wing and I'm going to talk through a few bits and pieces and little things we've done to support technical rehearsals and that whole process of making work when you get into the theatre. So we're in the Wolsey stage right wing, which is absolutely tiny. But the handy thing for us is we've got platform lift access. So we're able to work with people who have mobility impairment, working as technical team. So we've employed sound team, sound number 2 to sound number 3, who are wheelchair users. We've also employed a lighting programmer as a wheelchair user, and you'll have seen how we can take seats out of the auditorium to create an accessible production desk space. I'm always keen to try and create an equality of access as much as the building will let you, because people just need to be able to get on and do their jobs. So there's things to think about when you're working with a company are obviously clutter in the wings. Lost count of the amount of times I've had to shove flight cases out of the way of wheelchair users because people just don't think and just abandon flight cases in wings and all that sort of stuff. So think about paths, and also for visually impaired, think about paths through. And here, because our rear of house lift lands in the wing, and to pass front of house you go that way, we have to keep this relatively clear so people can pass through if they're wheelchair users. Things that we've done during tech, for instance, if we've had a sign interpreted, BSL interpreter out front to help run the tech, help communicate with the company, we'll pop a camera on the terp, and we'll have the terp cam in the wings. So that means that if we stop a tech, people who need that can look at the screen and go, okay, we've stopped and this is where we're picking up from. Very, very simple thing. You can usually do it with your show relay system in-house. Other stuff, if you've got deaf members of company who need to sign or need to lip read, create a little bright spot or a bright area in the wings. If you can't have your wing workers bright so that people can sign or lip read, then have an area where people can be beckoned over and go, come over here, I can have a conversation with you. Little things like that that are just ready to go are absolutely brilliant. Other things, think outside the box. Remember that, you know, theatres, certainly of mid-scale and larger scale, you've got queue lights. That's going to help inform people when queues are. If we go over to our So obviously cue lights are brilliant because they're a visual indicator. So if you're deaf and you need a cue to go on, for instance, they're fantastic. We have a GDS spider system, which you can actually put the cue program with cue numbers on. So you can actually give even more information on the cue light outstation than just a red or a green, go, don't go, all of that sort of thing, stand by. So that's really cool and really helpful. We found during creation of the Wolsey's Ramps on the Moon show, Tommy, that we needed multiple BSL interpreters to support the technical rehearsal. What we ended up with is we ended up with a BSL interpreter at the production desk who had a little pool of light. I mean, it was very arbitrary. We got a lot of angle poises and pointed at them so they could pop up behind the production desk and sign for the guys at the production desk. And then we had an interpreter down here on the Bradbury platform who had a light on them. And they were lit from both sides. They could look out and look back at the company. They were always lit. They were a little beacon of light, and they would just sign anything coming from notes, the production desk, anything like that. You know, as soon as a God mic is raised, they were there and ready to sign and interpret anything that was coming from that production desk. So that's absolutely key.
In 2020, COVID-19 hit and forced us to change the way that we produce theatre to not only reach the small audiences we were allowed to have come through the front doors, but also to reach those who were stuck at home. With some amazing support from a local organisation, we were able to create a new model for producing digital theatre using live streaming. As part of that, we have this kit behind me here. We have 4 cameras that we use in the room to give sort of the best broadcast standard and broadcast quality offering that we can. These are all operated manually by PTZs, so they all can track people around the stage. As well as the multiple cameras, we have multiple live streams. So for every performance that we offer that is live streamed, we have 3 simultaneous streams. So we take the standard camera feed that we have that's being cut together by an operator in here. And for Snow Queen, for example, we had a live audio describer and a live caption operator for every single performance, as well as the standard stream that had nothing embedded onto it. This enabled anybody who bought a ticket for one of our productions of the Snow Queen to watch any of the accessible offers that we had. When we offered BSL for our live stream performances, we made the decision to remove the caption stream and instead replace it with BSL. This was based on learning that we've had over the last few years of offering BSL in the room, because captioning and British Sign Language are 2 completely different languages. So having them in the same space at the same time can be really overwhelming for somebody who is using either service. One of the more interesting challenges we faced for the Snow Queen was when it came to offering BSL for a live stream. Now, we were contacted by the BSL interpreter on the day to say that they had been pinged by the app and they were no longer able to come into the organisation to interpret. So after some quick thinking, we managed to ship a green screen to her house, and they set it up in their living room and they used their webcam and a Zoom call, and we were able to remotely offer this BSL service from her webcam to our organisation, remove the green screen, embed it onto the live stream, and get it out to the audience who were using that service at home without any issues at all. Using the model that we developed from Snow Queen, we have taken that and rolled it out across all of our produced work. We now offer live streamed versions of every show that we produce, and we make sure that we embed all of those access elements that I've spoken about so far into every single one of those performances. We also use the model to offer it to visiting productions who may not have thought about the audience that they're unable to reach and the audience who are unable to reach them at the venues that they're touring to across the UK.
Lovely, are we recording? Great. One thing I get asked loads and loads and loads and loads is about captioning. And captioning is expensive. I've been asked by various places, all those big caption boxes, they're quite expensive, should we invest, and all that sort of stuff. If you're a small to mid-scale company, probably not. They're also really expensive to hire. So creating creative captions is sort of high on the agenda of things that people want to do. What I want to do is just want to show you a quick and easy way of creating a caption file. This is based on using a piece of software called QLab. Most technical theatre people will probably have come across QLab. It's Mac based, and there is a fabulous little thing that has been written by Mick Paul. He used to be head of creative technology at Leeds Playhouse, and it's free for everyone to use. So what you'll need to do is you'll need a QLab download onto a Mac somewhere, and what you'll also need is you'll need a video license. Now, the handy thing about QLab is you can lease the licenses for a couple of days or whatever. So if you just want to have a play with it, it's it's a couple of dollars a day to have a play. But I'll just show you very, very quickly, and the instructions are online anyway, but I'll show you very quickly what you need to look for. So the first thing you need to look for is you need to open your search engine and look for the QLab cookbook. And it's obviously it's the top hit on mine, and I've already been there because I've prepped this to some level. So if you click on QLab cookbook, there's all sorts of cool little things that people have written for QLab to do for you. Scroll all the way down, and what you'll find at the bottom is a section called subtitles. Click on that, and somebody has written, or Mick has written a fantastic little thing that goes into QLab and will create you subtitles. And you can either have single line or multi-line subtitles / captioning. Now, once you've created this, you could send them to a cheap video projector, and you can project them onto your set as part of the design. You could put them on some screens, get some cheap tellies, or borrow a telly from your front room and plug it into your computer and do all that sort of stuff. But what this will do is this will create the cue list for you, and then from that you can play. So whether that's changing fonts, colors, being a bit more creative, all that sort of stuff, but this will give you the starter for 10. So when you're in the QLab cookbook, what you're going to do is you're going to download multi-line example workspace. And that's all we need to do there. So your next job, let's open a little folder that's downloaded called multi-line subtitles. Use QLab 4, double click, multi-line subtitles will open. This has got all of the bits and pieces plugged into QLab to do it for you. So your next job, you've got QLab ready, is to create your script. So this piece of plugin for QLab looks at Text Edit, which is a little text editing program that is based within macOS. So they've all got it. So what we want to do now is we want to import our script into Text Edit. So once you've found your text file, or you've saved it out of Word as a text document, .txt, you can do that out of a PC or anything else, you open it on the Mac. Now, once we've done that, now I've already had a play with this. So the first key is, and you can do this as many times as you like, that's the other thing, so do a short bit of script while you're playing with it, so you don't have to wait ages for it to generate. So the first key is make sure you get rid of all the gaps in your text file. So you'll see here, I've joined everything up into blocks. And what you'll also notice is, let's have a look at this line here, where Price has got a line that says, spoken to generations of families forced to be nomadic in their sinking country. Have a look at that, and I've put forward slashes in there. And those forward slashes are telling the plugin for QLab to do a word wrap. Because if you just leave it as it is, it will just do single lines. So this allows you control of how many lines are on each piece of subtitle. So we've got this here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on QLab. To begin with, we're going to leave it as it's arrived to us. I'm not going to change any settings, and all I'm going to do is press Ctrl and S. This will then jump into life and start creating a QLab file for us. And because it's a short bit of text, it's done. It's put all the fades in, everything else. Now you'll notice I've got a little X there on the text files. That is because I haven't set an external display. So I'm just going to change that. Just change it to the iMac that I'm using so we can all see it straight away. I'll close that. So we go to the top, and what it has done out of this text file that you can see on screen, so if I press spacebar, it has now added, if I keep pressing space, and you can see that on that, what it's put the carriage returns on the slashes I put in there, and then you have got basically your captions. Simple as that. Now you can set these up to be any color, any font, anything you want. I'll just escape out of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how to change things. I'm not going to save that. Go away. I'm going to reopen that workspace. Fantastic. So we've reopened the new workspace. And what we can nip into is we can click on this cog down here. Ignore that, it's just getting annoyed about things. And there's a section called Q templates. And what you want to play with, if you're doing captioning, is this text template. And what you can change down here is, let's change the font. So let's change that, and let's choose a font. Just for the sake of argument, let's choose American typewriter, regular. This is going to fit with it it's going to fit very well with the look of my show. I've decided. So that's what we're going to do with that. So that's very, very simple, changing text. You can also decide where your text appears. So perhaps we'll move the text or that sort of stuff. Have a play with that. The other thing to play with is fade. So this will give you the fade time. So if your captions aren't going quickly enough, I would suggest changing your duration to a shorter amount of time. So change it to, for instance, half a second. So we'll do all of that. That's all still there. Go into QLab, Control S, there we go. And then it will make my little cue list again. Now if I go to the top, you will see that as if by magic I've got quicker text, and it's in the font I wanted. Spend some time playing with that. It's all free and easy. It's great fun. Definitely good to do it later on in the process, especially if you're doing new writing and stuff like that. But you can play with all of this sort of stuff for pence, as long as you can get hold of the computer.
The New Wolsey Theatre recently produced a production of Kinky Boots. One of the cast from Kinky Boots was born with one hand, and we approached them to ask them if there was anything that we could do that would enable them to more comfortably play the guitar for the duration of the run. After an initial conversation with a cast member, we decided that the best course of action would be to do some prototyping. So after hammering some pieces of plastic and heating them up into the shape that we knew they needed to be to fit on the end of her arm, we put that all into a sleeve and we tried it out for size, and she was really happy with it. It then became apparent that we needed to take a lot more prototyping steps in order to get to a finished product that she could comfortably play. In order to develop enough prototypes to get to the point where the company member was happy to play with this prosthetic, we knew that we would have to get a 3D printer. It enables us to do 3D modeling and create it visually based on the scale of her arm, and then print multiple iterations of this model and send them off to her, and she can keep trying them until we've really nailed down the product that we are offering.
Other things that I think are just worth touching on as part of our little segment is how we and how you facilitate rehearsal rooms. Beyond the obvious, which is making sure that people have appropriate interpreters or all that sort of stuff, please make sure that you've had the conversation with members of company who may have access requirements. Perhaps as a matter of course, go out to your entire acting company and go, do you have any access requirements? Interesting that people who don't, on the face of it, need any assistance in the rehearsal room at all, might just need something to make their week or their day go a lot more smoothly. Something that we've learned through the RAMS experience when creating work, especially with a large amount of deaf actors that are using BSL is the ability to project script on the wall or on a big screen so that people can act using their hands and sign, and also be able to check where they are in a script. So whether that's actually forming your captioning early and putting your caption screens up in the rehearsal room and having somebody operate it, or some theatres have gone for an auto cue. So actually using auto cue software and having the DSM able to operate that and scroll through it. Great thing about auto cue software is you can just input your script straight into it and it will scroll at a constant speed. And you can slow and speed up that scroll. So that might help. There's lots of things now that are available on mobile phones, mobile apps, and there are various cue lights, as we saw earlier, that obviously they're wired at the theatre, but you can have cue light systems that work on a selection of mobile phones. So you can cue other phones, and they can vibrate, they can do things. There's all sorts of cues and ways of telling people that something's happening. The most important thing is talk to people, see how you can make their experience better, easier, more enjoyable, allow them to be as creative as they can be, and what small things you can put in place to make sure that they have the best time and do their best work. But it's all about that conversation with the person that you are supporting, and not talking to somebody else. Talk to that person. What do you need? And if they go, I'm not sure, then talk to other people who've been in that, other people who have that disability or similar disability, who've worked in a rehearsal room. Get that information and get everyone talking, because that's absolutely the most collaborative way to make everyone's experience making theatre much better.